What's going on, everybody? I'm Cody. Welcome to HappyHill's Garage. And today I'm actually going into the front suspension of the GR Corolla. I don't know how many people have done this already. I haven't seen much online, so I'm delving just into it blind, kind of. I've done some research on the front end and rear end alignment parts of the manuals that they have, and I came across a couple things because, well, if you guys don't already know, I do autocross, so I'm in the D Street class of autocross for the SCCA, which means you can't really put in coilovers or anything of that. So you can't adjust camber with plates or, you know, top mount adjustability whatsoever. But I found in the GR Corolla manuals that they come from their parts store, or the parts list. And these should give about 0.2 degrees supposedly of camber. They're just crash bolts, so hopefully when we put these in, they will actually make a difference. And to test that out, right, I have this camber gauge that I'm going to be using, and I've already measured about 1.5 1.6 ish of negative camber already, so this should suffice enough to measure out the difference these crash bolts make. So I'm not going to take up any more of your time. Let's get into it. So how we're going to use the camber gauge is, if you never used it, you're going to want to get as level of a surface as possible, magnetic surface, because, well, I didn't show the magnet off yet, but it's got this little, well, not little, it's pretty big magnet on it that holds it in place, so it stabilizes it. So you're going to take just a level and find the most level spot, which is roughly here. So from this little point right here, we're going to be taking the gauge. So take the gauge, put it on that point, and then this level part right here, just gonna make that as straight as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect, but from there, you see how it's at about like 2 positive right now. There's this dial, and we're going to be adjusting it. Okay, we're going to be adjusting it until it gets to obviously 0. So looks good to me. Maybe a little bit more right there. So that is a pretty much leveled gauge. That's what we're looking for. So now what we're going to be doing is plopping it on the rotors with the wheels on and on the ground and everything like that. Nothing's jacked up. This is just, car hasn't been touched yet. So let me show you that right now. So we're just going to take off the gauge, go down here, place it as high up as you can really, and just let the magnet just kind of snap right on. Okay, and then do the same thing. Okay, I got this part leveled and a little bit straighter on the rotor, and that's what we come out to. Now the numbers, it's not accurate. Like, that's not 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree. What I found is that 2 is 1 degree, 4 is 2 degrees. This tack right here is technically 6. This is 3 degrees. So we're sitting at about 1.6 ish, and that's 1.6 negative degrees camber, and that is to spec. All right, so just to the other side, and it's pretty much the same. So we're gonna get on with jacking up the car and replacing these bolts. All right, so I ended up having some stuff to do in the beginning of the video. Anyways, yeah, I had something to do in the beginning of the video, so I already installed the bolts. Did that whole process. I had to get it done quick, but I do have to adjust the front a little bit, push it in a little bit more to get a little bit more camber because of the crash bolts. So I am going to be taking you guys through how I jack it up in the front, or at least get a jack stand up in the front, because here, let me show you what I'm dealing with. So for the GR, right, there's this little jack point. However, that's the only space we have, so there's only enough room to be able to put a jack under it to jack it up. Not enough room to put a jack stand simultaneously. There is this jack point, I think that bolt down the center in the video, it's very far in there. So what we're gonna do is go to the rear and use that jack point to lift up this whole right side of the car, and then put a jack stand under there, put that down, and then in the rear there is a jack point right there. That little thing that's sticking out right there, little bump, that is the rear jack point that'll lift the entire rear up. So that's what we're gonna do. So yeah, let's go ahead, break the lugs loose, and then jack up the car, and I'll show you what I'm working with the lower strut bolts. All right, so we got the wheel off now. If any of you guys are curious as to, and you guys haven't, taken the wheels off and got to look in the wheel well, I'm going to show you the rotor, suspension, everything that's under there. So let's do that. So here's the two-piece rotor, right? As you all can see, the stock lugs don't stick out much. Fortunately, I can get enough thread with the aftermarket Mutekis. Here's like the slight spacer sort of thing because of the two-piece big rotor.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
Our big caliper. Here's the brake pads. I haven't changed them yet, but from what I've seen about other calipers of this nature, it's pretty easy. You just, pull the clip off right here, and then pin out. Take this little cover off. I can't remember what this is. But anyways, then the brake pads should just slide out. We'll get to that at some point. But here are the lower strut bolts. So obviously these are already the crash bolts, and I'm going to show you guys how to take them out. Here's the strut tower end link, pretty generic, pretty long sway bar. Here's the tie rod, by the way. It looks not too complicated. I mean, it's an all-wheel drive, so it's got a lot of the characteristics of a front-wheel drive suspension. So being that I worked on the Fiesta quite a bit, it's not too foreign to me here, so good thing there. So there's the tour of the suspension and wheel well, basically. So let's get into actually taking off the bolts. Okay, so as you saw, it took a little bit of oomph. They are torqued down to 200 pound-feet of torque. Now, we're just going to loosen the nuts all the way off, set them aside, and then take the bolts out. So we're going to take them out one at a time. Don't take them both out at the same time. You need one end just to hold it in place. If you want to check to make sure there's no debris or something of that nature, set a jack under the hub. We might just do that anyways. It's good to just have as support. I do that anyways. It gives me a little bit of ease whenever I'm trying to maneuver the knuckle. So yeah, let's do that. All right, so this is what we're working with, right? So here are the stock lower strut bolts. And here are the aftermarket, well, not aftermarket, but crash bolts. So as you can see, there's a noticeable difference in one, thread, and two, how deep this basically like gouges in. So it'll just give a little bit more wiggle room to be able to maneuver it for camber. All right, so now that you guys see how you remove the nut, remove the bolt after you remove the nut. It's pretty easy. Like you saw, all you got to do, especially if you have a jack under to help support the hub, you just kind of grab the caliper, wiggle it back and forth a little bit, and shimmy the bolt out. It's as easy as that. Sometimes you might need a little mallet or something, just tap it out, but it shouldn't require that much effort. If it does, there's probably an issue. But that's how you do it. And you just toss in, whether it be a new stock bolt or a new crash bolt. That's it. I do recommend having the nut facing to the rear on both the passenger side and the driver's side. On the driver's side, I'm not going to show you in this video, but they did have it towards the front, which kind of made it interesting, at least to get to, because the caliper kind of got in the way of the torque wrench, stuff like that. There's already a tiny bit of room to work with here, so I highly recommend having the nut face to the rear. Anyways, so now this is still loose. You just want it tight enough to where it's snug, but it's still, just a hand tight. And then what you're gonna do, push, pull wherever you want your camber at, and then lock it down, but while holding in like your rotor, your caliper, whatever you're pushing on. So let's get into that. All right, so there's that. So we got the camber adjusted. with the crash bolts, I was able to push it in a lot more. So now we're going to torque it down and put the wheel back on and line the car. All right, so got those torqued down 200. As you can see, the bottom one is a little bit tricky. If you don't have a, I guess, longer straight extension, I didn't, but fortunately I have a impact socket little swivel, so that worked out. It helped, but you are gonna need a little bit more clearance in there for your torque wrench. Unless you have a lift, then you probably have it easier than me as far as getting down there. Anyways, those are torqued down, so now I'm gonna put the wheel back on and align it. Okay, got it where we need it. So roughly 0, maybe a little bit of toe out, so that might be good. And go over to the other side, do the same thing. Now all we have to do is measure the camber. So everything is pretty much settled. We're just gonna use the same camber gauge we used in the beginning, obviously. Hopefully it'll give us a good idea of how much camber or negative camber it added. So let's go ahead and do that right now. I'm just gonna show you the results of it. I'm not gonna show you the process or anything. You guys already know how to do that. See you in a second. Okay, so got it snapped on, and it looks to be just over the 4 mark, which is the 2 technically, almost at the 4.5, which is 2.25 roughly. So I'd say about 2.1 to 2.2, somewhere around there. So that is pretty good, considering we started at about 1.6-ish. That's at least half a degree of camber, we're gonna say, on each side, so, or negative camber, and I'm cool with that. For staying in D Street with this stuff, I mean, can't ask for better. So now that we got the alignment, we got 0 degrees, or you know, basically neutral toe in the front, toe in the rear, 1/16 of an inch, and a little bit more camber. So we'll see how this fares this weekend at the next autocross, which is gonna take place on Saturday and Sunday, so 2 full events. And then the next event after that is going to be the national tour at Crow's Landing. So that is the 21st, I want to say, somewhere around there. So stay tuned for that. There's a lot coming up this month, as well as a free track day from Toyota because we bought the GR coming up at Thunderhill the end of the month. And with that, thank you all for watching. Please smash that like button on your way out and leave your comments in the comment section down below what you guys got out of this video, what you might do differently, and your plans for your GR Corolla if you got them. Also, leave your comments as to what you guys want to see for the future of my channel and the GR Corolla. You know, working on it, maintenance, upgrades. I'm not doing too many upgrades right now. Obviously, I'm trying to stay within the rules of the D Street and autocross, but we can probably finagle some things. So leave your comments in the comment section down below, please. I love conversing with people, so I love to talk to y'all. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you guys be notified of all my future content coming up. I will see you guys in the next video here. So peace out. Have a good one. See you next time.